Joining us now to discuss is host of Dick Morris Democracy. That would be the one and only Dick Morris. Dick, great to see you on this Independence Day Eve. Got to get your thank you, and got to get your thoughts here on that DeSantis or that ad that DeSantis his camp retweeted. Many people saying that was not a good idea.
Yeah, well, I think that DeSantis is just desperate, and he's looking for anything he can find that will give him traction against Trump. And this I particularly don't think is going to help him, but nothing's going to help him. This guy is a lost case at this point.
You know, there was some other news here. There was like a blistering Twitter tirade. I don't know if you saw it, by RFK Jr., who blasted the way President Biden's administration decided and announced that it would be maintaining secrecy indefinitely on certain records related to the assassination of his father, of his uncle, rather, JFK. What do you think about this? And RFK Jr. tweeted, "It's not about conspiracy, it's about transparency." In a midnight Friday announcement, the White House has delivered that the bad news will be that the president will be maintaining secrecy for a really long time. So what do you think of this, Dick? I mean, it seems, if it's true, it's like an unforced error, right, by the Biden administration. They just give a talking point to RFK Jr.
Well, this is another of the deep state activities, and it's outrageous. There was a law passed in 1977 saying you have to release the records of the Kennedy assassination. And presidents have been postponing it constantly, saying that that the dangers of its disclosure outweigh the value of the public knowing about it, which is outrageous. This was the most important crime in the history of America. It was second most. Lincoln was the greatest. And for us not to be able to access the facts is absurd. There's a book that Robert Kennedy Jr. recommends that I read, and I urge everybody to read, by James Douglas, called Unspeakable. And it goes through the assassination, and it makes the case that the CIA killed Kennedy, that the CIA was very mad and very upset that Kennedy was moving to end the Cold War, and that he and Khrushchev got together after the Cuban Missile Crisis and decided to end it. Kennedy decided to pull out of Vietnam, and he signed the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. And that the war hawks in the CIA, the strong, strident anti-communists, and those who profited from war, the military-industrial complex, had Kennedy killed before he could pursue these initiatives. And Robert Kennedy Jr. said he believes that. And if you read the Douglas book, there's almost no alternative but to believe that. And for the government not to release these files, which potentially says that the most outrageous crime in modern history, certainly, was perpetrated by the government on its own people, is a terribly dangerous conclusion, and one where we need to know the facts. And for Biden to sit on these facts and not release them is just absolutely outrageous.
And Dick, the timing on all of this, as Americans are losing more and more trust in our, I'll say, three-letter agencies, CIA, FBI, DOJ, it just seems almost too coincidental that this would be something that the Biden administration would be saying, we're putting this away indefinitely, especially when one of Biden's, well, essentially his kind of only challenger for the Democrat nomination happens to be Kennedy himself saying, I think this really, really happened. RFK Jr. has been very, very outspoken, as you mentioned, that he thinks the CEA has been responsible.
Well, actually, he's not just said that. His uncle reportedly said that. I mean, his father reportedly said that. He said that Robert Kennedy Sr., the Attorney General and Senator, told him frequently that he thought the CIA had killed his brother. And in fact, one of the things the Douglas book says is that the military crazies in the CIA, special ops, were so anxious to provoke a war between the U.S. and Russia, a war which, by the way, the U.S. would have won because we had tremendous missile superiority back then, first strike capability. He said that when the CIA decided not to lend air support, to the Cuban exiles who invaded Cuba, and they died on the beach at Castro's Air Force, that was a deliberate decision by the CIA to try to provoke JFK from order an airstrike, which he was under tremendous pressure to do, and the grounds that would probably have triggered a war with Russia. And this is an entirely alternate government theory, and it's not conspiracy. It's not mad. It's not out of line. It's being advocated by the victim's nephew and by very authoritative documents. And that all dovetails with the other stuff that the Warren report said, that the shot that killed Kennedy came from behind him, whereas in fact it probably came from in front of him, and they had, because of his throat, a hole in his throat, and that Kennedy had passed by the book depository, and Oswald could not have fired that shot. So this clearly bears public release. And the deep state is just sitting on this. I believe the Kennedy assassination and the Trump indictment are the twin actions that mark the deep state trying to bring down the president of the United States.
Well, it's an interesting story, and you know, one that will give life to RFK Jr. because it's a Kennedy talking about what happened to his family. It's going to be hard for the media at some point to ignore him. Dick, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for not ignoring it.
Happy 4th, Dick.